the turbocharger. Here we have the exhaust side. This is the compressor side. Okay, your motor, as it's running, is dumping out all that sweet exhaust to this exhaust manifold. This exhaust manifold then feeds straight to the exhaust side of the turbo. The gas then comes through here, right, loops around, and then shoots out on this side. This is the exhaust side of the turbocharger, and it leads to the after treatment. It goes to the diesel particulate filter and out the stacks eventually. Okay, that's what they do with the exhaust. Now on this other side, okay, inside of there's a shaft that goes all the way through. Both sides, you can barely see them, but there's little fins in there. Okay, so this is a lot better. Inside it has fins on both sides. That one shaft goes all the way through. It's got them on some floating journals, and it's driven by the exhaust gas, right? So it's spinning over there, spinning, sucking in air from right here. This is hooked up to our charge pipe. As it's spinning there, it's spinning this side too, and sucking in air into the compressor side. The air that comes in through here loops around and comes out on this top part. Okay, this top is our air, our cold air exhaust, right? It goes into the intercooler, and it would be set up here in front, and then the intercooler ends up going back into the intake manifold, which provides our engine with added air. They call it charged air. It already has its intake manifold, so this turbo is just adding extra air to the manifold, which is giving us better compression and allowing us to reach higher speeds without bogging down the motor so much. Naturally aspirated motors, all that means is that it does not have a turbocharger, and the exhaust comes straight out the manifold and goes into the after treatment and out the pipe in the end. Okay, so now that we've discussed, this port right here, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, this port right here is where the oil line feeds through. Okay, these are oil cooled, so it throws oil down into where the shaft is at and covers the journals and keeps them all nice and cool while they're operating at high temperature and high RPMs. This hose right here actually goes, I don't think I can get it up there, but it goes up and connected to there. This is where the oil comes down, and it goes right back into the crankcase there and gets recirculated as the oil system does. That is the lubrication of the turbocharger. That is how the turbocharger works. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to undo these 4 mounting bolts. They're 15 millimeters, 4 of them around. We're going to remove this turbocharger. We're going to put it up on the table, and we're going to be testing today. We're going to be testing our end play by pushing on the backside of this shaft and seeing how much it pops in and out. And we are also going to be checking the radio play by slightly pushing on the shaft and getting the lateral movement, sideways up in there. See how much shaft play we've got in there. So let's get that cranking. This is a sweet dial indicator. All right, here's your mounting magnetic base, arms, dial indicator itself, and our feeler gauges. This is what we're going to be using to check our housing clearance, and we're going to be using our dial indicator to check the end play and radio play. We're going to be checking our housing clearance. Okay, we have our feeler gauge for decimal 008, and we're going to be scooting the shaft just slightly out of the way, and we're testing the clearance in between. Let me get out of the light a little bit. Testing the clearance in between the impeller fins and the housing there. Okay, so It should be a little bit of a slight drag. So we have our proper clearance there. The neck size won't fit. Decimal 008 is a good fit. The spec says that the tolerance is decimal 010, so 008 still within spec. Good housing clearance. That's how you would check that. We went over how to check the radial end play and the shaft end play as well. We also went over some basics of the turbocharging system. This for a big diesel motor. When you're talking about automotive, the principle is about the same, just smaller toys to work with. Thanks for watching. Charger on the vise. Pretty cool, Big Daddy. We have it set up on the top of the shaft on the compressor side, and we have our dial indicator set up. We can reset that back to 0. Okay, and basically I'm going to be reaching in from the exhaust side, and I'm just going to be slightly lifting and pushing down on the shaft. That'll give me my end play over here. Okay, so we got slight movement. Oh, it's a little much. It's got about 4-5 thousandths of play in it. The spec says that we should have decimal 004, so this would be technically out of spec. Just one of our trainers. This is just to test the radial end play. We're gonna set this back up, and we're gonna be taking our shaft end play. Okay, so next. Now we've got our dial indicator set up on the top end of the shaft. It's right on the tip of it. And basically what you're doing now is I have my hands on the back side, on the exhaust side, and on the compressor side. All I'm gonna be doing is pushing this shaft in and out. That's how you test for your end play, okay? This looks like it's got about 4 thousandths, 3 thousandths of an inch on it, which is within our spec, because I'm pretty sure our spec is decimal 004. So, and we've got plus or minus 001. So, the shaft end play looks like it reads out just fine, but the radial end play was not within spec. This is just a trainer. Under a normal condition, we would have it rebuilt anyway, replace it with new replacement parts, and we would go and install this turbocharger back onto the exhaust manifold, onto the motor, and get the truck back on the road.